Welcome to the Fazbear Entertainment Maintenance Video Manual. This tape will cover the instructions on how to clean out your state-of-the-art animatronic inside the torso and accept your...
The Five Nights at Freddy's VHS tapes have blown up over the last couple of years. However, in my opinion, they've had a more, negative appearance on the community, but not for a reason you may think. Now, before you all come at me in the comments, I just want to explain myself. Now, for me, the FNAF VHS tapes actually show the FNAF storyline in a much more effective way than the actual FNAF games do. More specifically, the more recent games, considering now after Help Wanted 1, just basically retconned the entire mainline series and the main Click Team games, specifically FNAF 1 to Pizzeria Simulator. Now, to me, the fact that they've retconned the mainline Click Team games to me really shows the amount of respect they have for the more original mainline games, but we'll go on to that later. Now, the tapes I will be discussing are the Squimpus tapes. Now, I know the controversy regarding the whole Squimpus, McGrimpus controversies. However, separating content from the creator from this video, these tapes are my personal favorite interpretation of the FNAF storyline. Now, I will be separating the content from the actual creator in this video, so just do bear that in mind. I just love these VHS tapes, and it's personally the ones that scared me the most. Now, to me, these tapes are really effective in the storytelling, but also in the character development of each character that is shown in this series. Now, to me, I find these tapes as a problem to the mainline games, as they show the FNAF story in a way where I could understand if people actually got the lore mixed up with this series with the actual canon lore. Considering how good this storytelling actually is, adding on to the fact they actually show William Afton as a person with actual characteristics rather than just this random purple dude who ended up killing people back in the 80s. Now, to me, showing William better than any FNAF game is a huge deal, considering this is the main villain of the entire series, who's built up as this vicious character and ultimately just shows this dude in a really vicious way, but also as a family man. Specifically because of the voice acting later on in this series, it depicts William in a very monotone way. Like, we see him how much he loves his younger kid who ends up getting killed in the Bite of 83, and we also see how vicious he is towards Michael Afton, the kid who obviously he has this hatred towards after, Michael was the cause of the younger kid's death, more specifically the crying child as he's known throughout the series. Now, the voice acting shown in the later episodes, specifically in Memories and the last video, these are probably one of the best depictions of William Afton we have seen probably on the internet. I don't think we've seen a better depiction of Afton in the entire canon, in my opinion. I feel like the way Afton is described here, the way he's shown just purely through the voice acting, shows us how vicious he was towards those kids when he basically initiated the missing kids incident in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. We see that he actually just wanted a release rather than killing Michael Afton because he knew he would get caught. Now, not only does that show how vicious William Afton actually is, but that shows how smart he is as a killer. He is not just this random crook who kills for the sake of killing. He does it in a smart way that he knows will not get him caught by the authorities.
Hello, whoever you are. You just found a cassette tape hidden in my bedroom. And happenings with Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. That was me.
Now, you might be asking in the comments right now, how is this a problem for the mainstream games, you might ask? Well, in my opinion, these tapes show similarities to the first 4 entries, which were more of a grounded story rather than the more sci-fi story the games would later become. Now, to me, the first 4 games show, yes, a very, sort of sci-fi story, kids possessing animatronics. It is somewhat sci-fi. However, the fact that you could kind of get this on a story of just a haunting. Now, hauntings actually are more grounded than you might actually think. However, when you go all the way to Sister Location, when you have these animatronics that were made to kill, the whole fact that Sister Location is very hard to actually put in the timeline with this whole series, the fact that Sister Location has this sort of remnant being introduced, the walking corpses, it definitely took a more sci-fi approach after, you know, FNAF 4. Now this definitely is a very interesting thing, as we know Sister Location is probably the most divisive game in the franchise, considering you might have people who absolutely hate this game and you'll have people who absolutely love this game, and I'm on the more middle part of it because I can understand how confusing the game's storyline actually is, but to me I actually just enjoy the game. Now to me, the fact that these games can show this level of storytelling is an issue, because a simple fan creation depicts the main villain of the storyline better than the actual story itself, which can, in my perspective, be a problem for the mainline games, considering the more recent entries have had a more mixed reception from fans from what I've seen. Like, for me, I'm not the biggest fan of Security Breach, I'm not the biggest fan of Ruin either. However, I can have fun on them games. When I first played them, you know, on first playthrough, I did enjoy them. However, I find that these games have the least amount of replayability about them, just purely because I just don't find them scary enough anymore. And when I go to, you know, the more nostalgia based games, now you might just say, oh, you're just being nostalgic. Yes, you could definitely say that, but to me, I just find those original games just more fun and ultimately just more scary. And a huge issue with these tapes that obviously isn't that big of an issue for me, but can definitely be a big issue for other fans, as the tapes clearly show more gore than the mainline story does, which can also be mixed due to the gore being so-called more realistic to the actual story. You know, this story is a very disturbing story when you put it into perspective. You have kids getting slaughtered and then their corpses just being stuffed into animatronic suits with all that wiring, with everything going on, as Phone Guy would tell us that our eyes and teeth would pop out of the mask. That is a very vicious story. When you think of it that way, these kids are completely innocent and just being taken because this dude is a killer. Simple as that, and it's a very disturbing story. Now the fact that this VHS tape series can depict that in a very, very effective way can kind of put onto the fact of, oh, why did the games not do the same? Now clearly it's just the fact that Scott had a different approach to this game, and that's completely fine. You can have both levels of enjoyment between both VHS tape and mainline canon games. But to me, in my opinion, those first 6 games depict the overall gore and disturbing nature of the franchise and story in a fantastic way. But the gory nature could definitely divide more fans, as you'll have fans who, you know, obviously want more gore in the series to have that sort of more horror effect. You'll also have those fans who like the story in games the way they already are. Or you'll have fans like me that just does want a good story with a scary element in the gameplay, because ultimately this is a horror game. Obviously it has to have some good story, but the whole aspect of it being a horror game, it does need to be scary in some way, shape or form. Now ultimately that is just my opinion on why I do think that these FNAF VHS tapes can cause an issue with the mainline FNAF games. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. I'd be really intrigued to see what you guys think of this. In my opinion, I do think it can just be a little bit more divisive than people may think, but let me know your theories and thoughts in the comments below, and I hope you did enjoy this little analysis, and I hope you all have the most fantastic day. I'll check you in the next video. If you like anything to do with horror, make sure to smash that subscribe button down below. We're really close to 4,000 subscribers, so I'd really, really appreciate it. I will check you in the next video, and as always, stay safe and peace. First shot of this episode, Tammy picks this house.
Oh, what about that one?
Now, if you ask me, that is the, you know, worst house you can pick. It has wallpaper on the outside.